If you're anything like me, you'll grab every opportunity you can to get out into the great outdoors. Hi, I'm Minka from Tri-State Safaris. I want you to join us on one of our greatest adventures ever, out into the Simpson Desert.
A trip into the Australian outback with Mick and Joe McCulkin is an experience not to be missed. Whether you are travelling as a passenger or a tag-along driver, you can rest assured that you are in the very best of hands. To use their terminology, Mick and Joe know this country like the outback of their hand. You can indulge yourself in soaking up this amazing country, knowing that all your needs, navigation, supplies, and any emergencies that may arise have been considered and catered for by the immaculately prepared Tri-State team. A team that has won multiple awards for outback touring adventures.
Well, here we are in Cameron Corner, which is pretty famous for where the three states meet. A fella here who's a real character, Bill Mitchell, owns the joint, and he originally hailed from Melbourne, but has got himself a real good little spot here. Bill, I noticed all these $5 notes on the ceiling. Mate, what can you tell me about them?
They're for the Flying Doctor Service, the RFDS. We wrap it up, 2 bob and a pin, throw it up. It all gets donated to the doctor. Bit of a novelty thing, Mike. People get it up first time, not first time, some can't get it up. And over the 7 years I've been here, we've given them just under 14,000.
That's pretty phenomenal, isn't it? Such a good cause too.
My word.
This is one of those times when I can say to Joe, your bum's that big it's covered 3 states.
The first night out has the team bunked down at Cameron's Corner, in solid but comfortable quarters, but keen to hit the road the next morning.
In amongst some of Australia's greatest tracks is the Strez Lecky, made famous back in the 1800s by Harry Redford, who was also known as Captain Starlight. And he and a small band of men rustled all these cattle up in Queensland and drove them down the Strez Lecky for the first time ever to the markets in South Australia. And unfortunately for Harry, in amongst that herd was this one prize white bull that was recognised by someone who alerted the police, who of course arrested Harry and his men. The amazing thing about the whole story is that the jury found Harry Redford and his men not guilty, simply on the grounds that they considered it to be such an epic journey and recognised him as one of the outback's greatest heroes. The judge, of course, didn't see too kindly to that, and in a fit of fury closed the court, deeming it never to be opened again.
The next stop on our journey is Minka, on the banks of the amazing Coober Creek.
Someone's already said to me, how come there's so much water here? It's just a creek. Don't be misled, it is a creek, it doesn't have any flow, it's not a river, it's just a series of linked waterholes. Fairly shallow here, probably about 6 feet or so. Upstream a little bit to Callymurra waterhole, 80 feet deep, so that's absolutely amazing for a creek. Burke and Wheels, you know, that's what this country's all about. You know, they made it famous, they left here, you know, from just upstream a little bit, went up, got up to the northern part of Australia, all the way back to here, and of course this is about where they all perished, just in this general area. So lots and lots of history here.
Once again, the team was pleasantly surprised by the level of comfort and service. Our host had thought of everything, even a bed to take in the stars. Or was that to get away from the snorers? The relaxed atmosphere of Inner Minka stood in stark contrast to the ever-present reminders of commerce and the richness of our country's resources. Next stop, Birdsville. But Mick is unhurried and has many fascinating stories to tell about both ancient and recent inhabitants of this harsh and unyielding land.
One of the highlights of any journey along Walker's Crossing track is of course, a stop at Walker's Crossing on the Coober Creek. Built back in 1986 and supervised by Sid Walker, who worked for Santos, it opened up access to the country north and south of Coober Creek during flood times. Unfortunately, and the sad part of the whole story is that Sid Walker died of a heart attack not long after the crossing was finished, and this happened during practice for the annual cricket match held at Moomba.
As one of the world's last frontiers, the Australian outback attracts many overseas visitors looking for a challenge. At least hills are few and far between for these French cyclists.
Birdsville. It's been a great day. We travelled up from Walker's Crossing up into Birdsville along the Birdsville track. So much to see, so much to do, so much history associated with Birdsville, and we've got so much to see while we're here. We're on the banks of the Diamantina River, and of course associated with that large amounts of corellas, and of course that's why it's called Birdsville, originally called Birdsville after one of the early storekeepers in the area. Lots to do here. We're going to visit the working museum, have a bit of an explore around the river, and then finally out to Big Red and across the desert. So much happening. Stay with us, you'll enjoy it.
Here we go, come on down this way and I'll tell you what it's all about and we'll get started. All down here. Young fella, move down here, he's been waiting a long time there, young fella. Down we go. Now what I do, I take on a show.
If you come to Birdsville, must see, must do, it's the Birdsville Working Museum.
I don't think you'll see 3 pumps like those anywhere. 78 for the record player. It's all talk, all Bible stories. Pick that one up. Record goes on there. There's your needle. Little 78 needle, got to change him fairly often. So that becomes your speaker, and you have a pencil or a skewer, and away you go. Getting a lot of attention, Michael Ems. Where's Auntie Jean and Auntie Maud? The crowd are up when the boy steps out. There they are, over there. There's the old broom thrower from Batuta. One the broom throwing Auntie Jean up there. She said, can the boy get a bullet throw it here? Righto, out he comes. I think you and Andrew will run the tide. We'll see what Michael Ems...
A rodeo in Birdsville? What great timing. Apart from the fabulous characters and the unique Aussie mateship, on display was the skill and daring of our cattlemen.
Out he comes, that's the break of pan. Out he comes. Oh, can let him out, he'll crack the whip. Yee-haw! He comes, let him go, he'll drop the whip. Yes! Oh, right there, he said, hey, go, oh, I think you'll see him go around again, too.
Before we head over Big Red and into the sand dunes of the Simpson Desert, we stop for some last-minute instructions and history from Mick.
Out here, tyres are critical. The one thing that we do need to do to preserve our tyres is monitor our pressures carefully. Out here in the desert, we run with about 20 psi in our tyres, and as the day warms up, tyres warm up, we'll need to monitor our tyres, decrease pressures slightly, and as the tyres cool down overnight, we'll need to reinflate them to start off the next day. correct tyres, correct pressures. It's the only way you're going to get through this country.
As always, Mick would not tackle a trip like this on anything other than the incomparable BF Goodrich tyres.
Well, the moment of truth had finally arrived. Big Red loomed larger than life. The desert had had no rain for months and was particularly soft. Earlier, Mick had been warned by other tour operators who had turned back after their vehicles had struggled to conquer Big Red. And with the prospect of facing 1,100 giant sand dunes, had called it quits.
Mick and one of the tag-alongs make it over. But the tag-along causing Mick the most concern was the little Kia Sportage. Mick knew that the limited clearance would be a problem for the driver, and before Big Red was attempted, Mick had given specific instructions to try and keep the wheels out of the deeper ruts and to allow momentum to do the work. Mick had neglected to say that the same momentum was not required coming down Big Red. The Kia was found at the base of the next dune, with only 1,100 giant sand dunes to go. As usual, Joe's heavily laden unit brought up the rear, and with typical coolness, she guides the patrol over Big Red.
The Simpson Desert lies across the corners of 3 states: South Australia, Queensland and the Northern Territory. The Simpson is the driest region of Australia, and it is a dunal desert, a sea of parallel red sand ridges, around 300 to 500 kilometres long, covering a total area of 170,000 square kilometres. There are numerous salt pans and lakes, and these can flood after rains and close the desert to vehicle traffic. The very first motorised crossing was completed by geologist Reg Sprigg and his family as recently as 1962. 1 year later, in 1963, a petroleum exploration company from France forged the track followed on this trip, the French Line, at a total cost of $40 million. Gone are the comfortable beds of the past few days. This is the team's first taste of desert camping. The campfire is Mick's first priority. As with so much energy burnt up today, he and Joe know that there will be some pretty big appetites tonight.
One of the things that everybody loves on our trips is the food we provide. And to be able to do that, we need a really reliable fridge out here. Evercool have these wonderful fridges. We run some as fridges, some as freezers, and we also have the option of running fridge and freezer. To be able to pull out things like ice cream in the desert and chicken mignons, you've got to have a reliable fridge.
Yeah, I mean, we've been carting food around the desert for the last 16 years, haven't we?
We certainly have.
And we've tried all sorts of fridges. One thing that really sets the Evercool apart is its usable space. It's got an economy switch, so overnight time to save power, you can set it on economy and it'll draw less power. We also figured that Evercool makes some of the best ice boxes in the world, so it was only natural, of course, that they make the best fridges in the world, and we've certainly had no problems, have we?
They just keep going. They're great.
A campfire, good food and company. It sure doesn't get any better than this.
Okay. No surprising to this, there's lots more desert today, lots more sand dunes. Pretty typical of what we had yesterday afternoon. Plenty of easy ones, plenty of difficult ones. Michael, if you don't get up the top first time, have another second run at it. It'll be fine.
Don't be embarrassed about coming backwards.
Don't be embarrassed about having a second go.
We all have a go at that.
I had to have a second go at a few yesterday afternoon. First thing we're going to do is just head down the track a little bit further and call in to see Pepple. Oh, in actual fact, we'll see Pepple's corner. Pepple left a couple of years ago.
He's not hanging around for morning tea today.
Augustus Pepple, of course, it was named after Augustus Pepple, who came out here and surveyed the state borders. So we'll do that, and then out further west into the dunes again. We'll do our usual, put the billy on about 10:30, and we just keep poking on. Look, we've got another desert camp just like this tonight, in the middle of nowhere, which is in the middle of everywhere, really.
That's right.
The Simpson isn't simply sand dunes. It is a place of great beauty, serenity and diversity.
In 1880, surveyor Augustus Pepple marked the corner of where South Australia, Queensland and the Northern Territory meet. As there was no suitable timber in the area, Pepple dragged a 2 metre long Coober post over 90 kilometres to mark this junction. The post was not sighted by Europeans until the late 1930s and is now held by the South Australian History Trust.
The challenges of the Simpson are numerous, and it is wise to travel in convoy. But for some, the appeal of the desert is the isolation, and they choose to travel alone. If you are alone and strike trouble, there is no need to panic. Help could be over the very next sand dune. As you can see, there's no clear path over this monster. Many have tried and failed. A good run-up is necessary, as it will be momentum that will carry you over. But not this time. Nor this time.
Mick is keen to have each driver try and conquer the dune, but if all else fails, it's time to take matters into his own hands, and it's out with a trusty bushranger snatch strap. And hey presto, it's as easy as that. The other two tag-alongs thought this was great sport, but both struggled. Mick offered encouragement from the top. Until finally the Land Cruiser made it over. But the Kia had met its match, and Mick found an alternative track skirting the dune. Our newfound stranded friends followed the Kia's example and there was a collective sigh of relief when all parties had reached the top.
This is the Simpson Desert, and to us it's one of the most special places on the planet. What makes it so special? Well, look, it's just a huge variety of things. You know, it's
blue skies, the endless horizon, the red sand, just the contrast is incredible.
But I think one of the things that I love about this place out here is the impact it has on people that have never been here before. People may have been waiting 50 years to get here, and when they leave, the experience they've had is going to stay with them for the rest of their life. The other thing I really love about bringing people out here is people come out here and expect to just have spaghetti and baked beans out of a tin, but when we can pull up and pull a roast out of it and a damper out of a camp oven, and maybe top that off with pavlova and
Contro berries.
Yeah.
Contro berries with ice cream, yeah.
So
then you've got the best best sky you'll ever see in the whole world. We don't camp in a 4-star motel. We camp in a 1,000,000-star motel.
And the remoteness, the fact that people realise once they're out here, they really are out of their comfort zone. We're days and days away from the nearest help. We've got to be totally self-sufficient.
The best part is we have fun doing what we're doing. We love doing it, and we just keep coming back for more. And
yeah, I guess to sum it up, to me, the reason why we're here is just, this is one of life's great moments, right here, right now.
Perney Bore will be the last desert camp. And as the sun dips below the horizon, once again, the hypnotic campfire combines with the solitude of the desert to provide that warm sense of achievement after what has proven to be a challenging crossing. Dawn brings an opportunity to explore Perney Bore and the welcome chance to wash off the layers of desert dust. Wildlife abounds in these rich, warm waters, and the team finds it a struggle to pack up and leave this special place. Dalhousie Springs, what an oasis. This beautiful waterhole is an enormous natural spring-fed billabong, watered by the Great Artesian Basin, and has a constant temperature of 38 degrees throughout the year. Water discharging into Dalhousie Springs is probably more than 1 million years old, having travelled underground for thousands of kilometres. Tired muscles are rejuvenated in the spa-like waters of Dalhousie Springs.
Refreshed, the team heads for Mount Dare, the first fuel stop in over 500 kilometres of gruelling desert driving. But first, Mick has one important task to complete.
We're really proud of our advanced eco certification, and we're really big on minimal impact in the desert. One of our huge issues has always been disposal of rubbish, and we've been in the desert for 4 days now, a group of 12 people, and a heap of rubbish. Thank goodness for Bush Rangers wheelie bin. We've been able to tuck everything away and keep it right out of sight. All we need to do is pull the rubbish out of this into a proper disposal pit. And it's as easy as that. Remember, do the right thing.
The old homestead, now a traveller's rest, has had a good facelift, with Dave and Mel building a new hotel and dining room. Time to kick back and enjoy some good local art, a great feed, cold drinks and warm outback hospitality.
With full fuel tanks and feeling well fed, it's time to say goodbye to Mel and Dave and hit the road once more as we make our way towards Oodnadatta. From Gibber Desert to the sand, the BF Goodrich tyres haven't missed a beat. As Mick says, correct tyre pressure is essential, and so his Bush Ranger Supermax compressor is always close at hand. On the way, we have time to reflect on the effort and challenges facing those trying to tame this unyielding country, and sadly, so often ending in defeat.
Yesterday we were in the sand dunes of the Simpson Desert. Today we're here. Take a look at that.
The magnificent breakaways. Just when you think there's nothing more to see, Joe pulls another rabbit out of the hat. Just because you travel through the outback doesn't mean you won't come across civilization. A lot of remote area towns have made good use of what is available. The town of Coober Pedy is no exception. There you will find a thriving tourist business based on its most unique feature, a subterranean lifestyle. Visitors can get a taste of this unique experience and check out some great jewellery, art, or a very quiet, very dark underground motel.
During our travels we come across some of the nicest people we've ever met, and out in this area here, Eric Oldfield is one of the legends of the Birdsville track.
What does it take to be a legend?
You're it, Eric. What are some of your memories of driving in the early days?
Well, the good ones are getting behind a mob of bullocks and looking at them all day and watch them go along and feed them, looking after them. On the station, it's good. You're mustering, you're galloping horses, you're riding rough horses and you're chasing cattle around, you're putting them together, branding calves. So very active sort of life.
A lot more happening.
For those weeks you're out in a mustering camp.
Yeah.
And then you stop that, they put you on the road with a mob of cattle and you're moving along about 1 kilometre an hour. That makes it. But you get used to it.
Yeah.
You learn to like it.
Yep. You'd have to.
Once you learn to like it, it's great because every day you look at the cattle and you look at this cow and you look at that bullock. And by the time you get to Marie, you know what every one of them's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah. First time I was in charge, I was 16. I've been driving with my father from Cowrie Station, halfway up the Birdsville track to Marie.
Yep.
Been driving with him as a boy. And I drove with my elder brother. I've done the cooking for a few trips and I've done the horse tailing for a few trips.
Yep.
And Dad said, well, you're 16 now, boy, and you're smoking, you've got to do a man's work. You're the boss driver. So that's where I started off at 16.
In the deep end.
And now you're still driving, but at the caravan park.
It's resting. Driver's rest.
Driver's rest, that's exactly right.
The team also passed through other unique towns like Marie and William Creek, left over from the old Ghan Railway. They exist now for the local station owners and tourists.
Another one of the Outback's great characters is Talc Alf. This guy has got the most interesting take on the English language. If you're anywhere near Lyndhurst in South Australia, you've just got to catch up with him.
When I finished working with the geologist, I thought I'd go around Australia and make a working holiday of it. It took about 3 years to go right around. And when my daughter started growing up and when she was ready to go to school, I started getting interested in letters for her sake. And I drew letter P on the sand for her, and I said, well, the stroke's the body and the head on the top is the head. No wonder P's in front of the word people. And all their words, people, person, population, got P in front of it. So I went to the local library, picked up a book on origin symbols and signs, and there was no record that P means people. And I thought I may as well revitalise the whole English alphabet. So a little bit over the years I worked out every letter as a story.
The Australian outback has many legends and characters. Talc Alf stands apart as truly a unique Aussie character.
How are we going with this?
Oh, we're having a ball. We're out here with a great bunch of people. Some of them have come in their own vehicles and tagged along. Others have come as passengers with us, and they've all had a great time. We've been able to show them some of the best outback scenery around.
Well, this is day 12 out of this trip that we've been doing, this whole adventure of 12 days. And, you know, if you weren't careful, you'd say, well, this is the last day of the trip, but it's not really. You know, to me, it's a feedback we're getting from the people down there that okay, it might be the last day of this trip, but it's not the adventure's end. I mean, this is just the start for a lot of people. People will now go away from here going, you know, like, what's next?
What's next?
You know, let's plan another one. Let's do something else. Now I've got a taste of this. People often ask us, what does our logo mean? It could mean dreaming tracks, outback tracks, the blue sky, the red sand, the colours of the outback. Why don't you come out with us and find out what it means to you?